Here we go. Nope.
I beat you. All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our new grantee and staff transition meeting. It's really great to see some of your faces again and new faces for those of you whom we have not met. I'm glad that we're all here this morning to talk about this important stuff. I'm going to share my screen here in a minute, and we can look at the agenda. But just a couple of things before we get started. If you're able to have your camera on, which it looks like almost everybody does, that's great. If there's an issue with your internet and you have to have it off, it's not a big deal. At the beginning of this meeting, I'd just like to take a little bit of time, since we've got some new grantees and new faces, to introduce yourself and your program. And so I'd like to do that in a little bit of a popcorn style. I can start, and then I will just choose someone that I can see on the screen. And then we can go around quickly and say who we are and where we're from. I'm Heidi Brown. I'm the director of the Iowa After School Alliance. I'm really looking forward to supporting you this year and hopefully even coming out to your program and chatting and seeing what you're doing. And Erin, would you like to go next?
I'm Erin Brookshire. I am director of Dodger Academy in Fort Dodge. I also do behavior support during the day with the school district. And this wrapping up my second year as a grantee. Today I have a sidekick. This is Remy, so sorry if she interrupts. But other than that, I'm glad that the groups are back together and that we're getting this support. And I look forward to see where our programs can go.
And could you pass it to someone, please, Erin?
Let's go with Brianna.
I am Brianna Ingerson. I'm with Youthport in Cedar Rapids. So we have kind of 5 different sites with different programs in the area. And this would be kind of my second year transitioning into the director role. And I'll pass it to Keely.
Hi, I'm Keely Schaffner. My last name was Keely Kangas, so if you recognize me from that. I am in Fort Madison, and we have 2 sites at Lincoln and Richardson Elementary Schools. And this coming fall, we will be 1 complete site, which will be just Fort Madison Elementary School. It's my first year as a 21st century director. And I am very excited for us to have these meetings again, to be able to get some guidance and support. I think we're doing everything right, but it's nice to be able to collaborate and feel pretty confident about things. I recently had a baby, so my brain's a little like, what? So she turns 8 weeks old tomorrow, and her name's Lucy. And I am going to call on Brian because you're next on my screen.
Okay, I'm Brian Burton with the Boys and Girls Club of the Cedar Valley, and we've been working with 21st Century for some time. I stepped away from managing any of it for a number of years, and last year was made CEO, so I'm back involved. And I will throw it to Wes.
Hi, my name is Wes McGraw. I'm the director for Centrally Before and After School program for the 21st Century. This was my first year, so we're wrapping up our first year with the grant. And I'm also the activities director there. I'm looking, can I pass it to Vic?
Sure. While you guys have been introducing yourself, I've been putting links in the chat that are very useful. Except I made a boo-boo on the Iowa 21 CCLC. I didn't add the HTTP, so it's not a clickable link. But if you put that in your browser, it'll take you right to the site. And the department site and the Iowa 21 CCLC site are things you should bookmark because you'll be going back time and time again. And then also the guide to finance. There's been a couple of updates on that, but that you want to make sure your business office has that guide. It's very, very useful. It has everything, program codes to use when you're submitting your claims, and it has a really nice overview. So Okay, and I am at the Iowa Department of Education overseeing 21st Century, and I'm overseeing the OSTCP, Out of School Time Career Pathways Grant, and also the Learning Beyond the Bell Grant. So I've been a busy boy.
Elva, I think you're the only one left.
Hi, good morning. I had to make sure it was still morning. I'm Elva Griffin, a program coordinator for the Iowa After School Alliance. So you'll be getting some emails from me. I am also a great resource for you all. If there's anything that Heidi and I could do to help support you guys, feel free to shoot us an email. We also got new email addresses, so there's some confusion with that. I'll go ahead and share our email addresses that you can update our contact list.
Thanks, Elva. I appreciate that. All right. So moving through the agenda, the next thing is we want to share with you the IAA After School in a Box Toolkit. So I'm actually going to take you right now to that website that Vic was talking about, and that you should absolutely bookmark if you haven't done already. This is the iowa21cclc.com website. There's a ton of really wonderful resources on this website, from past community of practice videos, as well as best practice videos. There's a full year of curriculum on here, Vic's guides to family engagement and attendance and finance, and pretty much anything that you can think of that will help you run your program properly. Field trips you can see as well. The thing that I want to show you today, though, is an Iowa After School Alliance resource, and it's our After School in a Box Toolkit. So if you go to Grant Info on that website and scroll all the way down to the bottom to additional resources, that's where you will find it. Elva and I have actually updated this resource this month for you. And so if you have a previous iteration of this toolkit, you might want to go to the link and make sure that you have updated where you're going. This is a very comprehensive resource with tons of things in it for programs that are just starting, or for programs that are established that may just want to kind of review practices and make sure that you're using best practices in all the different areas of your program. So we'll just quickly look at the table of contents and things that you can expect when you're going through this: how to establish your program, how to look at your quality standards. There's even a self-assessment that's included in here that you can just do on your own with like no pressure or stress of having an evaluator come into your program. You can do it with your own staff and see kind of where you're landing in the different quality buckets. How to create your budget, looking at community partnerships. There's tons of resources on community partnerships on this website, and this is just one of those. Your effective program components, how to evaluate, and how to advocate. And so quickly, I just actually want to show you two things that are included in here that might be helpful for you. On page 49 of this resource, you actually have a full template parent handbook. So if that's something that you do not have right now for your program, and it's something that you're wanting to do, it might not be exactly perfect for you, but it's certainly going to get you a lot farther than starting from scratch. So you can just go straight to this and pick out all of the pieces that will work for you and your program. You can even download the template from a link up here in the right-hand corner of the document, and put your own logo on it, put your own name on it, and it's yours. One other really kind of cool piece of this toolkit as well is it includes our IAA advocacy booklet as well. How to effectively advocate for your program is so important. As you know, we don't get we get money, of course, from 21st Century, but money isn't everything. We also want to make sure that the powers that be know how wonderful your programs are and all the amazing things that you are doing. It's important for your legislators and your local lawmakers and policymakers to know that your after school programs are improving the lives of kids in your community, and that they should know what you're doing, and they should talk about it, and they should be a supporter of after school. So you actually have included in this toolkit our full advocacy guide that will take you through how to craft your message, your elevator speech, how to share your story, how to meet with a legislator. If you work with me and Elva, especially like during lights on after school time in the fall, and we are able to get a legislator to come out to your program, we'll walk you right through things that you can have ready for them, talking points that you can prepare, so that you really can put on kind of the best visit that you possibly can. Anyway, that's just two things that are included in the toolkit, but I would definitely encourage you to take some time to go through that and benefit from all of the things that are included in there. Any questions about how to get to it or how to use it or anything at all? Okay. Well, thanks. I appreciate you letting me take the time to show that to you. And like we said earlier, Elva and I are always here as a resource. I think now we're going to move on to talking about summer programs. And I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing so that Vic can share.
Heidi, before we move on,
Yeah.
there's a couple of states that are using the Iowa toolkit. You may want to send them the update. I think South Carolina is one of them that I remember they're using it.
Yeah.
And there's another state that is also using it. So
Yeah.
Iowa, our after school program, it's kind of like, remember the test for basic skills was used all over the country. Well, the things that we are doing are being borrowed and used by other states around the country. We have more partners than any other two states combined, and that includes Texas, California. You know, we have more partners than they do. We were the first state to make sure that kids with disabilities get served and provided guidance on that. And, you know, there's so many things that we do, and a lot of that is because we are dedicated to serving the needs of children. And, you know, that's an important criteria. If you have that, you know, in your heart, and you make sure that that's your guiding part, you know, the other things just seem to fall into place.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that, Vic. And actually, that reminds me of something else I wanted to tell you all too, which is that, like Vic said, Iowa is part of a 50-state network of after-school associations and alliances in the nation. And so Elva and I participate with people just like us from all over the country. And some states have 2 of us, like we do, and some states have, 25 of us, depending on how big the state is. But the exciting thing about that is the sharing that goes on. So yes, a lot of states will come to Elva and I for best practices, for example, for the toolkit, but then we can also go to them for things that are happening in their states. So I would want to encourage you all too, especially if you're embarking on some type of other programming in the after school or out of school time world, don't count us out from helping you on that piece as well, because we might be able to help direct you to examples from other states, or things that you can incorporate and that make sense just for your programs, whether they're 21st century or otherwise.
Yep, and I in the chat I put in one more link, and that's to the monitoring checklist, and that is what we expect programs to do, and it's really nice the way it's organized. You can go through there and say, oh yeah, we're doing this, check, you know. And if there's something you're not doing, it's not the end of the world, but you know, you may reach out to me or Heidi and say, how do we do this? And that gets you ready for the comprehensive site visit. So I think it's very useful. Like I said, anytime you have a question on that, feel free to reach out and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. All right, let me share with you the summer planning. You should be, you know, thinking about planning for your summer school. And what I think we need to do is reimagine how we do summer programs, because a lot of times it's just an extension of school, and that to kids is not very fun or exciting. Um, and we have an opportunity to take the summertime and make sure that we don't have that summer slide, and keep kids interested in learning throughout the summer. And there's an article there with some good ideas from the Washington Post. And, you know, we're still getting back to normal. I'm really happy about the partnerships, because we had a low of we were at 700 partners. We went down to 424, and now we're back up over 600. So that's very encouraging. Long term, I think we can hit 1,000. And I think that the in-kind value from our community partners can equal what we get in federal funds every year. So kids, though, some of them are still suffering lingering effects from the pandemic. They maybe didn't have a whole lot of time with their friends, and they're still having some stress. And we can make summer an exceptionally enjoyable program. And keep in mind, the program should be designed for the children more than for the adults. And sometimes, you know, we think about school and we do things that's more convenient for the adults, and then the children often, you know, are secondary. For one, we've been a big advocate of social emotional learning. We were doing it before it became popular. Why? Because it works. You know, when you talk about evidence-based practices, that's us. I mean, if we don't have a good program, what happens is the kids will not attend. So we've been doing evidence-based practice for years now. And there's a lot of research on various aspects that children respond to. For one, music. Music can calm emotions. Well, some music can get kids excited too, so you want to make sure you pick calming music. But there's research from the University of Nevada on that. Another thing is sunshine. Kids, it's crucial for them to absorb vitamin D. Do you know that after the pandemic, there was actually an increase in kids with eye vision issues because of this lack of getting vitamin D really had a detrimental effect. So do things outside if you can. And there's some research from Northwestern University on the effects from the pandemic on kids' eyesight. That's a good article. And then third, talk to kids, listen to their concerns. And there's a good article on EuroLife Iowa about that. That's one of the distinctions with after school is the kids tell us that it's so nice that they have someone they can talk to. And you know, there's research that at high school, if the student has just one teacher in a huge high school that they can talk to, they don't drop out. Imagine that. So, sometimes we build up these systems and the system is, not very good for providing for the human needs. And then lastly, joy in learning. Some of the best early childhood research, Reggio Emilia. It started after World War II in one of the poorest regions in Italy, and it became one of the most prosperous because of their investment in children. So make your programs fun for kids. Bring in ice cream, musicians, clowns, things that are going to make the program a little bit enjoyable, not just sitting in the school reading the same book that they, read last semester. And then a little bit more on why they need to go outside. There's 5 ways the sun impacts mental and physical health. Sunshine improves cognitive functions. And, there's a lot of research that kids that have proper nutrition do better in school. And that's one of the reasons why if you're applying for this grant, you're going to get bonus points if you agree to a full meal. And that's one thing that has always made me a big supporter of the Boys and Girls Club, because they always feed the kids a full meal. Kids in poverty, they don't get enough at home. And if they do get something, it's usually not a good nutritious meal. Might be a bag of chips. So we want to make sure that we can, provide them not only a good learning environment, but take care of the needs for nutrition as well. So there's new evidence that kids who spend more time outside exposed to daylight reduce their risk of developing nearsightedness. And I've been doing some research that I'm incorporating into the new state evaluation about vision. And it's disturbing because the vision issues for children have increased. There's more kids now with vision issues than before. And we need to address that. And I would suggest, if you don't have one, try to develop a partnership with the Lions Club in your community. The Lions Club have a program where they will provide exams and eyeglasses for kids. If a kid has some vision issues, they may not want to come out and tell you because they're embarrassed, but if they can't see, they can't, do some of the work as well as they could. Okay, let's go outside. You can read outside. You don't have to be inside under the fluorescent lights. There's actually more lumens when you go out in the sunshine. And you can coordinate books that have content about what's going on outside. There's a list of 19 books that you can read outside. And while you're out there, you can give the kids a snack that's outside. Here's another huge list of 60 outdoor activities and things like going to the park. There's 17 activities that you can do in the park. Go to the zoo. There's 7 activities going to the zoo. Going to the pool, 5 activities going to a pool. So when you go outside, get the kids to look at the different animals. How many different birds did you see? What kind of insects did you see? What plants did you see? And, that gets them more aware, and it creates a different kind of learning than just the textbook. And a lot of kids respond to that better than just, reading in a book. And of course, field trips. Do you know that a lot of the states, in order to go to a field trip, you have to send a request in for each field trip to your state office. We don't do that in Iowa. I trust that you can pick a good field trip on your own. We have a guide to field trips, and it gives you some good best practice ideas. But you know, we pretty much let you do your own field trips. And it's very good for getting kids a nice learning experience. I still remember a field trip that I took back in the 60s where we had a bus ride from the city of Detroit all the way across the state to Holland, Michigan, and we saw the tulips. Now you can do that here in Iowa, but you're going to go to Pella. So there's a lot of nice things you can do on a field trip. And here are some more free summer resources. There's some from Edutopia. Here's a list of 200 free educational resources. Here's some summer learning that's in both English and Spanish. Here's another link there for bilingual summer resources. There's a link for music for learning videos, and then 9 activities for ELL students. So there's just tons of things you can do to make summer learning fun for kids. So when you're planning summer, are you going to just do things inside? And you know, a lot of the schools don't have air conditioning, and it gets warm and stuffy, and then the kids kind of get sleepy. Or you can do things outside. You know, the choice is yours. But I think you'll get kids talking about what a great summer they had in your program if you do things that take advantage of some of the things we know about summer learning. Okay, and this is my contact information. Any questions?
All right. Thank you, Vic. And we'll make sure that we share Vic's PowerPoint on the 21st Century website so you can have the benefit of all of those links that were included. And also, Elva will go ahead and email that out to everyone on here today to included in the minutes. So you can make sure to take advantage of all of those resources and links that were provided. Great. All right, now we're moving into our discussion part of the program here. We've got some prompts and questions that we'd love to start talking about. You know, even if you've already come up with a solution, because I know that we're all problem solvers here, even if you've already come up with a solution to something that you were working on, we would really love to hear that, because you never know when another program might be dealing with the exact same issue. You know, I spent 16 years directing a 21st Century program in Des Moines, and there are some times that you know, people would be on these calls and share something that was, maybe had seemed quite basic, but even after 14, 15 years, it would spark an idea for me, or a light bulb would turn on, and oh, that's how I could handle that situation. So please don't feel like you have to follow exactly these prompts for conversation, but if you would mind, please either coming off mute just to share, or you are welcome to share in the chat as well, and Elva and I can read them out. But what kind of support do you need right now? What's working really well, or maybe what's not working in your program? Specifically about staff, how are you doing after the pandemic for staff? Do you have enough? Are you still struggling with the staffing shortage? If you do have enough, what did you do? Because people want to know, what did you do differently that you were able to find staff to work in your program? And then kind of selfishly, what would a visit from IAA, what benefit could you have if, from that? Is there something that you would like us to see, or maybe something that maybe you're struggling, or maybe there's something that's going really well that you would like us to come and try to capture to be able to talk about more broadly? So if you could go ahead, and I'll just leave it open. Go ahead and bring yourself off mute, or go ahead and share in the chat. But you can talk about all of these, one of these, or maybe something different.
Well, I don't know what support our program needs right now, but what we're working on is our second year of summer programming. First year was kind of crazy, building it from the ground up and not really knowing what I was doing. So it's a great starting point. We just dove right into it with a full day of programming. And we saw what worked, what didn't work. And then throughout this school year, I've started implementing some of the changes with my staff on things that I was seeing that wasn't working that way. This summer, when we have year 2, hopefully it'll be a little bit more smooth. And even with like our pickup and drop off times that we had last summer, we had a lunchtime pickup and drop off, and that just added to the craziness. So this year we eliminated the lunchtime pickup and drop off. So we will have kids from 7:30 or 8 o'clock at the latest until at least 3:30ish. So then they get the full range of academics and the enrichment stuff that we have going on. And when I let parents know that we were doing it, they seemed all for it. So I don't know if it's that it's something that they actually want, or if they're just like, okay, that's what the program is, so we're just gonna go with it. So I'll wait and see what that feedback is once I get the parent survey out at the end of the summer.
I guess I have something that I would like some feedback on. So we had polled our parents about what time they wanted to pick up their kids from our program. And most parents said that they wanted the program to last until like 5 to 5:30. And so we've kind of tailored our program where the academics happen first and then our enrichment, and they end right around 5:15 for the enrichment activities. And we just have like a 15-minute, like just socializing time at the end. However, I would say almost probably 60 to 70% of kids are getting picked up closer to 4:30. And that was happening in the winter time. And I was like, well, maybe it's because it's dark and like they want to get home sooner. And we didn't have this issue in the fall. And now that I'm back from maternity leave, I kind of saw in action where, I mean, kids aren't quite getting the program anymore. And so I'm trying to figure out for next year, how can I be proactive in making sure that kids are there for a good amount of time, but I'm not being like, now they can't go to soccer practice because they need to leave at 4:30 to be able to get ready for it? Or is it one of those things where we just have that flexibility of knowing that we want them to be in these other extracurriculars and it's okay that they're leaving early? And so I just kind of want to know what other people's thoughts and opinions are on that and how they handle it. Because I don't want to be like too strict, and I don't want to be too relaxed about it where they're not getting the program they need and I'm paying people to be there when I don't need that many.
Keely, we kind of have the same issue at our place, and I don't have a solution for you, but I'm just noting that we do have that issue at Central E too. So we've talked about it a lot and find a way. So it's tough.
Dodger Academy. Go ahead, Brian.
Go ahead. No, I was just going to say we have a similar issue, but one of the things that we do is we do serve a meal, and that doesn't start until 5. So kids will stick around for the meal. If you set that later, then when they're picked up, they normally be picked up, they're there. Because a lot of our kids that's the only meal they're going to get that night. So the parents will leave them there so they know that they ate.
Dodger Academy had that issue with parents wanting to pick up early. And this year, when I was talking with parents when they were registering, I just let them know that the basis of our program is the academic part of it. And yes, we have the flexibility, but we really encourage them to be there until because our power hour is from 4 to 5. So we're like, hey, if they can stay at least until 5, that gets their extra academic support taken care of. And then a lot of them are understanding. And then we have the few weeks that there's basketball practice or soccer, like you said. The other thing that I noticed when I was on maternity leave a few years ago is that I had quite a few kids that stopped attending the program. And when I was talking with parents, it came down to what my staff was doing that I wasn't aware of when I wasn't there. So then once I got back and I was kind of seeing what was brought to my attention, I started addressing staff and saying, hey, this is kind of why parents are leaving. We need to change that. The image that we're putting out into the community is affecting our numbers, which means if we don't have the kids, you're not going to have a job. And then they're like, oh, that makes sense. Like, which seems silly, but
No.
some of my staff did not know how to interact with kids without someone standing next to them guiding them, which is what I was doing before I went on leave. So it might just be a simple conversation of saying, hey, this is what it is, let's try doing this, and then give yourself time to allow the changes to happen and get feedback and data.
Oh, that's really interesting, Erin. It's almost like you uncovered 2 issues, which is the issue with the attendance, and then you uncovered an issue with what you need for professional development for your staff. That's cool. I'll share one thing that I did a long time ago in Des Moines when I was having a kind of ancillary issue. We actually put together a 1-pager for parents, and we showed them how much money was being invested in their child that was completely free for them. And look at all of this money that's being invested, and you're getting, if you did this on your own, if you signed them up for art and sports and tutoring and this and that and the other, it's thousands of dollars. And then they were like, oh my gosh, this is what value I'm getting here. And it actually made a bit of a difference. So that's might be something that you could think of doing too.
That's great at a parent meeting to give them something like that, show them, how much is invested. One thing, parents have the right to pick up their child at any time. If school is out, they may come, 10 minutes and say, oh, we've gotta take you home. But what I would suggest is do your academics first and then do the fun stuff later. And then the kids are going to protest. They're having fun. They don't want to be going home yet. I still got a half an hour, Mom. Sit down here and watch me. And that's a lot easier. And a lot of kids will come to school just because they have so much fun at an after school program. So we're making an impact on chronic attendance as well.
I went ahead and threw those prompts in the chat just so that we can look at each other's faces. It's nicer than looking at an agenda up on that screen.
For people struggling with staffing, Dodger Academy, I started utilizing high school students more within the past couple years. They're at a lower rate. They still get $10 an hour, which is good for a good rate for a high school student. since fast food is roughly $12, but you don't smell like fries when you leave. And then teachers, when I changed their hours and gave them the flexibility of working just strictly power hour and whatever days they wanted during the week, they were more open to that, knowing that they could come in. All of our curriculum or activities were already together. They just had to pull one and work with their group. They liked that it was only an hour or two a week. And then I also used some pairs from the district that were potentially looking to get a second job outside of the school district. I can only use them for a limited number of hours a day just because of what their contracted hours are already, and I couldn't pay overtime. But they kind of stuck around and they helped with the more chaotic times to get everything leveled out, enforce the expectations, but then also help guide my high schoolers that were interested in early education or just trying to better their grade. And it seems to be working. I have more school district staff reaching out for employment along with more high schoolers because of my flexibility with their sports schedule and theater, dance, all of their extra stuff that they have going on. And I feel kind of bad when I have to tell them no, because for the first like 3 years, I struggled with getting enough staff, and now I have plenty of staff, and I'm like, I can't use you. Hang tight, I might though.
Aaron,
Yeah,
I
you
have a
never know
question
when it
for
might
you.
turn back around.
Right.
Aaron, I had a question for something you said. You said you can't pay them overtime. Are you part of the school system?
So we're kind of in a tricky situation. We are part of the school district, but we are separate. We're considered a nonprofit. So even though we have to follow their guidelines and all of their rules and everything, it's kind of hard to explain, but we're part of the school district, but we're not.
Okay.
I have
Because
to
our
do what
teachers,
HR tells me.
yeah, because our teachers are outside of the school district, so we don't run into overtime.
Yep. So since technically the program started like in partnership with the school district is my understanding, but the district doesn't fund it at all. We're responsible for the funding.
So are your staff members employed by you or employed by the school district?
They're employed by the school district.
Okay. Yeah, we are separated from the school, so our teachers are our employees, our staff is our employees, so we don't have to run into any overtime issues. And we have a lot of paras that work for us, and that's really helps out because they have those relationships with the kids. Most of them come from schools that we are in our district, so they'll come over after their contract hours and then be able to work for us. And we can give them up to 20 hours a week. So teachers are set at 4 hours a week because they get paid a lot higher, but we don't have to worry about overtime.
Yeah. I had a quick question for you guys. So when we have people pick up, like it might be anywhere between 4:30 and 5:30. Do you guys use ProCare or how we set up? I don't like it because it's like we have to take a group kind of to the our common area, and someone has to walk in them while they have kind of a group. So just trying to look for a solution there.
So Wes, I can tell you, so I talked to Cassie Gerst out of Burlington and I asked her what she did for pickup. And so she kind of guided me through. So we use a software called Easy Reports. And there's a check-in, check-out on that software. And so we have them go in through our main office. We use radios to call down to wherever the kids are. So all of our site, like all of our program leads have a radio. And so we just radio, can you send Keely Schaffner to the office? And so then that student goes and grabs their backpack and they meet in the office, and then the software checks them out. But then all of our staff could look at the roster in real time and see which kids are still here and are accounted for. And if that's something you're interested in, I can send you a link to that. But it worked for us.
Is that your school secretaries that do that, or is that like employees from Hawks Place? Because I'm seeing if I want to just paying wise and stuff like that.
So I have, because we have Lincoln and Richardson, I have one staff member who's in the office at all times. And that
Okay,
same person does all of our like parent interactions. They also help like make sure everything gets set up and put away. And so like I call them my site lead. And so they are the face of our program for all parents. And then also if our kids have any type of behavioral issue, they usually will deal with all minor offenses. And then I kind of come in and I do anything that's major or have to talk to parents, all the big stuff.
perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, I would just encourage everybody, if they don't have a membership tracking program, to use one. I'm fortunate because Boys and Girls Clubs has created their own and it's proprietary. So we check all the kids in, we check them all out. We have rosters, but we're only in a few schools. We have our own standalone buildings too, so it works really well. We just have front desk people at those buildings that know the kids, know the parents. Check IDs, all that. So
And
Thank you. Perfect.
Wes, I can also tell you Burlington, they have one of their secretaries like that is who they have that does the secretarial like office stuff. Because Kathy, like I know that that's usually one of the people who's already in the office. They just are the ones who hired to do that for our school district. Ours is someone separate. It's not somebody who works the office during the day.
Okay, perfect.
And then Wes, something to keep in mind, because I know that you're in the same county, so I know that some of the same issues you have, I have. Being in the school, we made sure that the person who was in the office has access to like all the contact information and the ability to like get into Power School. I don't know if you guys use Power School, if you use one of
Yeah.
the softwares. Yeah. So that way, just because a parent, when they registered, they gave, these are the people who can pick up and these are the people who how to get a hold of parents. We kind of went a step above and beyond, made sure that like they could also access Power School at any given time, because sometimes that changes so quickly where the parents no longer allowed for pickup and failed to tell the after school program.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, I think we had a situation where someone said that they weren't sure if someone needed to pick up, and like I think we were just in a situation where our on-site supervisor was out and I was trying to figure out, I didn't have access to the elementary on it. So that's good to know.
So one of the other issues that we've had that's kind of more program based is the partners in our area seem to be hurting for funding. And it has been difficult to have partners who are free for our program. And some of the cost per student is getting pretty high. And I think that some of it might be that they know like the 21st Century Grant, they know that we've received this large amount of money. They don't necessarily see how much we spend on staffing. But I'm trying to figure out what other programs do, like what's a typical rate per student for an activity that's affordable. When I was like with the Boy Scouts, like they were everything, like people are really pretty accommodating. It was a nonprofit, but because we're a school, it seems that I'm getting a little bit more that things that I've seen before be free for kids are kind of like getting in that like $7 to $12 range is what they want for us to pay. And if that's what the going rate is, then then I will work on my budget a little better. But I just kind of want to know what other people pay for programming. If you don't work with partners that cost money, do you write separate grants, like that are local grants for covering some of that? How do you handle those types of partners?
I would start with the kids that you work with, reach out to their families and parents and see where they work at. Some of the workplaces, you'd be kind of surprised that they would donate. I think we've had a couple of the medical clinics in Fort Dodge donate to the after school program before we got the grant funding. But then once parents see that what we do, a lot of times they'll be like, oh, well, I know so-and-so, I know so-and-so. And even just word of mouth, just letting them know, hey, this is what we're looking for, but we're kind of really on a tight budget. Do you know anyone that can work with us? And you might get some more results that way, or even checking with churches and see if they have any funding.
So you would look for outside funding to help cover the cost of some of those paid partnerships?
Yep.
Well, another thing
we
to
don't-
do is explore free partnerships. For example, fire departments. Imagine them pulling in with a fire truck and letting the kids climb on board and talking to them about fire safety. They usually don't charge you for that. There's a lot of, like, the DNR can come out and talk to the kids about the plants and the animals that are found in your area. There's a lot of those, no cost partnerships too that you should check into. For
Yeah,
example, there's some that have minimal costs, like the Science Center of Iowa has a van. They charge everybody a flat rate no matter where you are in Iowa, and it's basically to cover their gas to get the van to you. Blank Park Zoo does the same thing, but they bring in petting animals to show the kids. But you may have a local shelter that can bring in some animals, and maybe, talk to the kids about a rescue. Those are all, good, low cost kind of things that you can take advantage of. And we're working on our list of partnerships. As soon as we get it done and posted, take a look at it, because we share partners from around the state, but also we talk about what areas they're helping. Are they helping in math, reading, science, different areas? So it's very useful for you guys as you're developing your programs.
Something
Yeah, I
else
would
you
say-
can do, Keely, which is not a quick fix, but something that could potentially help over time, is make sure that you're connecting your community partners with Iowa After School Alliance, because we can help them with other funding opportunities that can support them, whether they're grant opportunities or funding opportunities. Also, advocacy. So when we have our day on the Hill, if you know of programs that are wonderful, that are looking for funding, that want to come with us to the Capitol, talk to legislators about after school programs, that is so powerful. Yes, it's wonderful when programs come, but it's more wonderful when kids come and when community partners come. So let's keep connected on individuals that you know of that we can potentially put in contact with resources that can help them to help you, to help them to help you to help them. Right?
Brian had something to say.
Yeah, I would say a lot of what we do is we have a lot of partners that need kids to be part of their program. Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, 4-H, those types of things. So we partner with them, and they don't charge us. But the ones that do, we will write corporate grants with them. We'll be the 501c3 that is the head of the grant, and then they can use that money. One of the things is we like swimming. We do a swimming program with our city, and we get a grant to pay for the time in the pool and then swimsuits for our kids, and it's basic learning to swim. So we apply for that with one of the corporations locally. They fund it, and that gives our kids 3 days a week for 3 weeks swim lessons. And it's amazing when you have kids that think they can swim, but they really can't. And our lifeguards have to jump in a lot. By the time they're done with that 3-week program, they're able to swim. So, but it's really just working with those partners, asking what their needs are, and then going and finding corporations or people like was said earlier. All of these kids have parents. All these parents work somewhere. find out where they are and then say, hey, we are supporting you and your staff, so that they may support your program a little easier when they know that they have parents that their kids are safe in after school programs somewhere because of you.
Absolutely. Well, we're coming right up here on 11, and I know everybody has to get to getting ready for their program this afternoon, but I will tell you that I've dropped 2 links in the chat as well. And those are professional development opportunities that are coming right around the corner. Wednesday, April, can't remember the date, 27, something like that, is our second in our mindful leadership webinar. This is a wonderful opportunity for staff to learn about ACEs and how to connect with kids that have dealt with trauma and how to protect themselves and their own mental health. And then also on May 1st, we are partnering with the Iowa Children's Museum to offer a best practice webinar about STEM equity and how to make sure that you're providing equitable STEM opportunities and access for kids in your community. These are both also available for HHS credit. If you happen to run a licensed program, your staff can sign up for both of these in iPower and receive that, that as credit toward your license. Otherwise, thank you all so much for joining us today. This was a great meeting. Appreciate you all so much. Don't hesitate to reach out, and we will be in touch soon. You'll see an email from Elva that will include all of the notes and the link to this video, as well as the link to all of the information and the PowerPoint on the website. Right. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.